First of all, how does he cope emotionally? Does he dread going to the hospital, or is it just a part of life? Is he...
For the most part, it's a part of life. There are certain things that he dislikes.
Like what?
When he has a port in his chest that's where they access for drawing blood and for giving chemo when he's having it through an IV.
Yeah.
So he has a cream that they put on. It numbs it. He doesn't feel that at all. He doesn't mind that. But if he just needs labs and he has to have a finger stick, he hates that. That is the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
And that's what he always asks when you say you're going. He says, "They're not going to stick my finger, are they?" But there's a volunteer at the hospital who paints with the kids on Friday. So when he has Friday appointments, he thinks he just goes to the hospital to paint on Friday.
Oh, that's good, though. That's good that they have things to distract them. I'm sure they have all kinds of techniques that are child-friendly to kind of distract them and make it more bearable for them.
They are very child-friendly. Even at the hospital, you know, when they're transporting kids, if they're well enough, they transport them in wagons or in little cars that they can ride. They don't make them ride in the hospital bed.
Yeah.
Or in a wheelchair. You know, they keep it pretty light for the most part. But he understands that he's sick, and he can tell you he has chemo. But beyond that, he doesn't really understand a whole lot that's going on. We keep it pretty simple with him.
Right.
You know, and he sometimes he's just really tired, and that makes him a little more irritable because he's kind of tired and worn down. But for the most part, if you didn't know he was sick, you would not know he's sick. Right.
And from the picture that I saw, now there was a period that he went through where he was on steroids pretty heavily, I think, and he looked sick then. You know what I mean? His face was swollen, and you could tell there were some changes going on. But it seems like he's gotten into a phase now where he just looks really healthy. He looked kind of tanned, and you know what I mean, pretty healthy on Saturday when you were running the 5K with him.
Yeah, the steroid treatment that lasted about a month, and that was probably the worst phase of it. I mean, he had some incredible food cravings. If anybody's ever been on prednisone or any type of steroid, they understand the food cravings.
Wasn't it like tacos or something that he wanted?
It was. Tacos and dill pickles.
And dill pickles. Doesn't sound like a very good combination to me, but I guess it's like being pregnant, you know, just whatever.
And you crave salty things, and you can't really get any saltier than dill pickles and tacos.
Yeah. So now this intense phase that he's going into, or consolidated phase that he's going into, he'll start going more frequently. He'll go how often a week?
This week he has chemo twice. He had infusion chemo today through his port, and then on Thursday he'll have chemo in a spinal tap. Okay. So they put him to sleep for that, and they do it in his spine. That's just also, it gets in all parts of his body, but it's to ensure that the cancer doesn't spread to the spinal fluid or the brain.
Now, has he ever had any problems with the spinal tap kind? Because I know I had a spinal tap once, and it was pretty horrible. Where they put him to sleep.
For the most part, he hasn't. It's nice when he's in a deep enough sleep that he doesn't wake up until after the 30 minutes where he has to lay flat.
Yeah.
If he wakes up before that, then you have a hard time keeping him laying down for 30 minutes.
Right, because I had a problem that my spinal fluid kept leaking, and so I had really bad headaches. You know, because if your spinal fluid leaks, from what I understood, then you know your brain will actually rest on your skull and cause these horrible headaches when you have a low fluid. And so I had a lot of problems with that after mine. I had meningitis is what I had. Well, I was pregnant actually with my son, with Noah.
Wow.
But it wasn't bacterial. It was the viral kind. So that was good because they couldn't give me anything because I was pregnant. But I had to have the spinal tap to see where it was, maybe twice, I think. And I was in the hospital for probably a week with that. So I've had some experience with that. I just wondered, how often does he have the spinal tap treatments?
Right now, in this phase of treatment, he'll have them once a month. So he'll have one on Thursday, and then his infusion chemo through the port will continue once a week. So we'll be going every Monday until we get to the first week of May. And then he'll have a spinal treatment and then an overnight stay where they'll push chemo drugs through an IV all night long. And then he'll go home the next day. Yeah,
and I guess after an intense treatment like that, you would expect him to be pretty sick after the IV overnight.
Having that much treatment, especially the spinal chemo and then the IV push overnight, you would expect to be very tired, and then the nausea.
And what type of symptoms does he have when he does get sick?
He gets headaches, sick on his stomach, and then, of course, with all the medication he's on, it kind of does strange things to your stomach sometimes. for the most part, it's the headache is what he complains of, and he'll normally complain of that, a spinal tap, and that's normal, but it's kind of hard to tell a 3-year-old
Right.
just got a headache.
Right. And he, I guess he has a lack of energy to go along with that, just tired.
He does. He's very tired, and they'll usually at daycare they say he'll sleep, most of the day after he has a treatment like that for several days. But they're really good about, they let him sleep if he's sleepy and let him eat if he's hungry.
Now, his mom and dad seem to be pulling together and doing, and I know it's hard. I know and it's very difficult, but they seem to be pulling together through all this and handling it pretty amazingly from what I can tell.
I agree, they are. I was really concerned about that. Lacey and Justin are both young. Lacey's 23 and Justin's 27. So I was concerned about that. But they have really pulled together. They've got a good support group of family and friends, and I know that's helped. But it's tough. It's really hard to watch your child be sick, especially this sick. But fortunately, they are pulling together. I think they realize that they need to support each other, and that he needs to see them being supportive of each other and of him.
Yeah. Have you seen, what do you think has been their main emotional struggles? Well, I mean, obviously seeing your child go through this, is there any one hang-up area that you've seen with them that they've struggled with?
Initially, when he was first diagnosed, although the words were never said, there were a lot of unspoken fears and concerns. But that fear was that he would die.
Right.
And when you're first told your child has cancer, I think they went through some of that, and then there was some questioning, did we do something? Is this something that we gave him? Is it something genetic that we had? And the doctors were really good about talking them through that and explaining risks, why it happened, and but that's probably, and management has been one of the difficult things too, with working and, trying to keep things very organized and scheduled, who's when.
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit on me there. I think you were saying, though, it's hard. It sounds like that with both of them working, and I know you do some duty, too, and taking him. It's a lot of scheduling. And didn't you, what about daycare? Was there trouble placing a sick child that's going through this in a child care facility?
He was in daycare when he was diagnosed, but when he was initially diagnosed, they worked it out and stayed home with him for 2 weeks after he came home. And she changed to daycare because she really felt he needed to be in an environment that was a little less kids, a little more one-on-one. She happened to know the owners of this daycare and just felt like it was a better place for him. They've had some children, high-risk illnesses before, so they were very comfortable in handling that and knowing what signs to watch for and when they needed to make a call and say, somebody needs to come pick him up. This is going on. Yeah,
I'm sure that's a big concern in leaving him. I can imagine after everything you've gone through and then having to leave him in daycare for the first time afterwards.
It is a struggle for Lacey. It's hard for her every day when she has to leave him, and she said she feels like when she gets off work in the afternoon that she's in a race to get home.
Yeah, right. Yeah, to hold that baby boy. Well, I'm glad he's doing fairly well. I track you guys. I have my Connie channel on my iPhone so I can check in once a day or twice a day and just see how things are going. So we'll be keeping up with them, and I sure do appreciate you guys coming on and talking to us about it today.
All right, thank you.
All right, girl. Talk to you later. Bye.
All right.
All right, we're going to go to break right now. We'll be back in just a few minutes, so keep it locked in right here to The Naked Truth with Alicia New on Talk 92.1.